R.L. Stine's Fear Street novels were essential reading for anyone interested in horror in the 90s. The films contain many nods to these stories. In the very first scene, Heather opens the film reading the log line to The Wrong Number, which is the 5th book in the series, out loud.
Began as a prank and ended in murder. Fantastic choice.
Although the title of the book and its cover art match that of Stine's 1990 novel. The author's name has been changed to Robert Lawrence, aka R.L. Stine. R.L. Stine is not the only master of horror who is honored throughout the Fear Street films. Stephen King also gets a lot of love and respect through the trilogy. You can see King's books in both Part 1 and also the third film. Most noticeably his novel Insomnia, which would have been a very new release within 1994, is prominently featured on a poster, and his book is also on the shelves. A lot of respect has been shown towards Wes Craven's iconic teen slasher movie Scream. From the creepy call that Heather gets before she is stalked around the mall by the skull mask killer, mirrors the iconic opening scene with Drew Barrymore in the 1996 film Scream. Even the killer's costume bears a striking resemblance towards the classic Ghostface get-up that terrorized the teens of Woodsboro, California. Skullface's costume was inspired by R.L. Stine's Halloween Night 2 from the Point Horror book series. In certain parts of the film, Josh says up, down, left, right, B, A, start. That sequence is the famous Konami code. It's a cheat code used by video game players in order to gain special powers during a game made by the company Konami. The first known use of this code was in the 1985 game Gradius. Director/co-writer Lee Yaniak was a teenager in 1994 and drew from her own personal experiences for inspiration. Like the characters in Shadyside, she is also from Ohio. The town of Shadyside, Ohio really exists. It is considered a part of the Wheeling, West Virginia statistical area. However, there were no European settlers in the area until 1879. Ohio was itself not settled by Europeans until after the American Revolution, and there were never any witch hangings in the state. Despite the film's title Fear Street, the movie is focused on murders that happen in Shadyside as a whole. The actual street in the title has not yet been shown or even mentioned. Heather, played by Maya Hawke, and Ziggy, played by Sadie Sink, also appeared together in the 2016 Netflix original series Stranger Things.
Don't let me down, you shits! Let me down!
Despite taking place in 1994, there are several songs which are anachronistic. Only Happy When It Rains by Garbage and More Human Than Human by White Zombie weren't released until 1995, and Your Woman by White Town wasn't released until 1997. Machine Head by Bush was on their 1994 album, but wasn't released as a single until 1996. Firestarter by The Prodigy wasn't released until 1996. One of the posters in Dina's room is the 10th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which depicts Rocky Horror character Barbie-style dolls on a 4-tier chocolate cake. Spoiler warning, the following items ahead may include important plot points that may ruin viewing if you have not already seen the media. The opening scene is an homage to the 1996 film Scream. The camera work and even the way he catches and stabs the girl mirrors the opening murder from Scream. The scene near the end where they go to the supermarket is an homage to the 1989 film Intruder, in which a character gets killed by a meat saw, and here a character gets killed in a similar way, however, this time by a bread saw. The art department tried to convince director/co-writer Lee Yaniak that a human head wouldn't go through a bread slicer, but she was adamant that it would. To prove her wrong, they bought a bread slicer and shoved a watermelon through it to show her it wasn't possible. To their surprise, it worked perfectly and everyone in the production office cheered. When the character with the axe is trying to break through the door, the camera is placed on the floor exactly like Stanley Kubrick did in the 1980 film The Shining, when Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, is trapped inside the fridge.
Let me out of here and I'll forget.
As for the killers in the film, some of them might remind you of other killers of the past from different films, including Billy Barker, whose childish mask might remind you of a young Michael Myers. The crazy-looking milkman Harry Wooker, who wields a knife just like the adult version of Michael Myers in the 1978 classic Halloween. And when it comes to the axe-wielding maniac of the film Tommy, he is eerily similar to Jack Nicholson's character Jack Torrance in the film The Shining. There are a lot of subtle clues that the good boys are actually evil. For example, the mascot here is the devil. There are plenty of visual clues throughout as well. In 1994, perhaps the biggest clue about the Sheriff Good's true nature comes in way of a brief interaction with the character Martin, when the sheriff says the cans of spray paint used to vandalize the town are his. That means he has been the one tagging shady side with the poem about the witch, ensuring that no one forgets the story that kept his family of the public radar for so many centuries.
I'm gonna tell you again, somebody planted that. Those ain't my cans.
You're right, Martin. These are actually my cans.
Why would I tag my own place of work? Come on, man.
Martin, around here people show a little respect. They call me Sheriff Good.
She reaches from beyond the grave to make good men her wicked slaves.
Makes good men her wicked slaves. The word good here is heavy foreshadowing for the sheriff Nick Good. Old Nick was also a nickname that Christians used for the devil. The following content highlights some of the inconsistencies and goofs throughout the film. The application Benjamin Flores Jr.'s character is chatting on uses the Calibri font. The plot takes place in 1994, yet this font was not introduced until 2007. Josh is supposedly using an AOL chat room, which did exist in 1994. However, his computer is playing sounds from AOL Instant Messenger, which didn't release publicly until 1997. In the mid-90s, a telephone connection and a modem was required to connect to the internet, and the exchange of data was significantly slower than depicted. Machine Head by Bush plays as Josh enters school. Machine Head was not released as a single until 1996, and the album itself was released in December 1994. This film is clearly set earlier in 1994, and as such, the song would not have yet been available. At the start of the chase scene with Ryan chasing Heather through the food court, it's shown that Ryan only has one knife. He stabs her in the chest and the view shifts a little so she is seen from what seems to be his point of view. The hilt of the knife is seen sticking out of her chest. Yet a second later, he gets shot and the hilt of the knife is visible in his hand with his arm raised in the air, as if he'd pulled it out of her chest. But then he falls on top of her and the knife is still buried in her chest. The plot revolves around the idea that Sam disturbed the grave of a witch hung in 1666. Even if she wasn't properly buried, there is simply no way that her corpse would still be effectively on the surface after more than 300 years. The corpse would have been scavenged, and years of detritus would have decomposed, leaving a significant layer of dirt over it. Further, the chains have no significant weathering, nor any type of buildup that would be expected after being left exposed for over 300 years. It is established that the undead killers are only interested in murdering Sam or anybody who was splashed with her blood. Yet one of the killers murders several people in a hospital that had no contact with Sam whatsoever. The movie and TV catalog will never stop growing, and it is a major task to chronicle all the hidden secrets. If you have a favorite film or show, or perhaps an idea of some secrets we may have missed, just let us know down in the comments. As always, if you like the channel, give this video a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button to make sure you do not miss any new content. Thank you.